What's going on, everybody? This is S Trades, and today's May 5th, and I just want to do a quick trade recap. And I feel like it would be very helpful because a lot of things are kind of getting put together as all the lessons that I've been teaching you guys. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Okay, so coming in today, right? I know it looks a little messy here, but so we had a pre-market sell-off, right? Once we tapped into this weekly fair value gap, right? And so we sold off to this 4-hour fair value gap. We also came to this 0.618 retracement level, right? Although we were respecting bearish PDS at the moment, I was heading towards more of like bullish plays because we were in this 4-hour. We rebalanced the equilibrium, and then we start to see some legs higher, right? So what I want to see is some sort of a confirmation of price wanting to go higher, right? For me to kind of confirm my bias, right? Going into open, right? We open up, we're just kind of chopping around, not really doing much, right? And so what happens then is what really confirmed my bias is when we did this hourly fair value gap that got inverse, right? So boom, once we inverse that 1 hour fair value gap, that's when I was really confident in my bias and in my drawn liquidity being higher prices, right? This is kind of how I look into my whole trade, right? Like I kind of see in the higher time frame where the potential targets, do they make sense for us to target, so it's not like random targets that you just think that price is going to go to, right? We also had an SMT with London lows, right? NQ ended up taking out this London lows and ES didn't. So we had this bullish SMT, right? We had this 1 hour fair value gap above us to act as a very clear drawn liquidity, right? Once we tapped into this 0.618 retracement, we were holding this 4 hour and we inversed the 1 hour fair value gap. Then I was really confident in my drawn liquidity, and we also did a CISD on the 30-minute right here, right? And later on, we also did the hourly CISD over here also, right? So I was really confident in this bullish blast, at least to this 1 hour fair value gap, right? So that was kind of my thought process going into today, right? So again, playing around on the higher time frames, right? I just wanted to see what do we have, right? So we had this 30-minute. It was the only actual PDA that we could, have as our fuel for the move, right? So that was kind of my condition for today, because going into this price action, it looked very ugly. Like this is a 5-minute chart, right? And we are very choppy. So I was, trying to be really careful with the trades that I take. And so pretty much what I was doing for is waiting for that 30 minutes to get hit, and then I could potentially start looking for longs, right? And so moving forward, coming into here, right, we end up taking out these two lows, right? And we had this 30-minute fair value gap that ended up getting tapped into, right? So then I was potentially looking out for some longs to target out these highs, and then this low resistance liquidity that got also formed, right? The only little weird part is that we had also some of the low resistance liquidity over here down below, but we kind of took one of these lows, so I was, fine with that. And this 30-minute fair value gap ended up holding, right? So now, according to my checklist, right, the higher time frame fair value gap got tapped into, right? We have an unfilled target, which is this 1 hourly, right? And this high, which is more of a discretionary trade again at that point. But the highest time frame inversion in this leg, right? So looking from the 5-minute all the way down to the 1, we had nothing on the 5, we had nothing on the 4, nothing on the 3, but we only had the 2 minutes. So I was like, okay, I'm potentially looking for this 2-minute inverse to send us higher if we get it, right? And time was aligning, so pretty much everything that I wanted to see ended up happening, right? So the very next candle, boom, I like this very bullish candle, right? I entered without any hesitation, but the only part is that was a little issue is that this inversion wasn't very clear. I potentially wanted to see some sort of inversion, maybe like a little higher over here where you could clearly spot it. I tend to not really like inversions where I have to like zoom in and see if it inversed or not, because those usually tend not to work. But the only reason why I ignore that for this trade is because my drawn liquidity and everything on the higher time frame kind of aligned to higher prices, so I was willing to take that risk, right? And once we took that 2-minute, right, I ended up pretty much taking 6 cons on the micros, right? And we pretty much just rode that trade all the way higher, right? I broke even when we reached this level over here, because we had SMT with ES, right? We took the London highs very, very early. So at that point, it was just full on discretionary because I still believe we're gonna hit this higher time frame 1 hour, right? So the moment we're around this level is when ES took it out, that London high. So I immediately went break even because at any time that SMT was, potentially could have got held and then price would end up sending us lower, right? And as price started to kind of develop higher, right, I ended up breaking even here, like I said, and I took majority of my position because I didn't like that SMT. And I just had like two small micros kind of holding, and then once this push up higher ended up happening, I took one con off, and then I trailed my stops very, very aggressively. I literally trailed my stop all the way down over here, right? I didn't really want to see prices kind of come all the way down here again. That was potentially not a very decent trail, I would say, because this 5 minute was over here, right, to have us kind of as a period that could send us higher, right? And pretty much what ended up happening is I got out of full position around over here, right, because we got stopped out. My trail got hit, but honestly, like, this was really, really bad. Like, I don't know, I most likely would have got stopped out, but my original trail should have been at this low, right, instead of this low. This was very, very aggressive because I thought that since the target is literally a few points away, we shouldn't really stall around. But that was, again, a very discretionary move, and just because I was already up in profit, decent amount, that's why I didn't want to play around with it. But realistically, I would kind of set my trail to this low, right, instead, and hope that this 5 minute ends up getting held. And it's exactly what happened. The 5 minute never got inversed and ends up holding, and we just deliver straight to the 1 hour, right? So you could say I just missed out on like 4 points, 5 points. Not really too mad about that, but realistically should have held it all the way to the 1 hour, but full position was out over here, right? Which still isn't bad. Like, I wasn't, it wasn't that I was not confident in this trade. I was, but it's just price was super, super choppy and super slow, and I didn't want to play around with my profits. So I was like, I'd rather just take the profits for the day and, end up being up, right, instead of going break even and things like that. So I didn't want to really play around on the Monday. And yeah, that was about it. That was the trade that I took today. And I just kind of wanted to go over again the thought process and how I go into the morning, how I, set up my bias and my journal liquidity. So if you guys find these videos helpful, please like the video, comment down if you guys have any questions. And the bootcamp, more videos are coming soon again. We're not anywhere near done. We have a lot more videos to come, so stay tuned on that. And yeah, that's about it, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video.